Hey, and welcome to Game Talk. I'm your host, Ahmed Mion. Today I'm joined by Connor
Hey guys.
and Mike.
Hello.
And the biggest thing of note that happened since the last time we recorded was the Xbox Studios first party game reveal event. And yeah, I think we got a little over an hour of games, or maybe it was under an hour, roughly an hour of games. And I certainly have some opinions, but I think overall I was kind of lukewarm on it. I was expecting more, but we can give our opinions, brief opinions, and then go a little more in depth.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I was watching it, waiting to see something that was going to be like, oh yeah, of course, of course this makes Xbox competitive with the PS5, but like that didn't really happen.
So for me, or actually, Mike, do you want to give your impression really quick?
I mean, Halo Infinite looked like it'd be a fun game to play, but God, did it look awful graphically.
See, I don't really agree with that. I didn't think the graphics were bad. I didn't like the look of the villain, but
That was a
hot
little
take,
okay.
hot
So
take here. I've never liked the look of a Halo villain, but
I
like that's fine.
I think that's obviously I think the biggest story and what we should probably get into first. Halo Infinite, right? So I'm a massive fan of Halo 3, right? So like I played Halo 3 like it was my religion back when it came out for several years, right? And then I tried the Halos after that. I tried, Reach and 4 and 5, and none of them really enraptured me like Halo 3 did. I never actually went back and played 1 and 2. It was just 3, but like
You
based off
should
3,
now that the MCC is out.
right, I should. But based off 3, like and I still play 3 on my Xbox One. Like I love Halo 3.
I've
Uh,
heard a lot of people saying 2 is better than 3 recently.
Yeah, it very well might be. I've never played two. So
Yeah. I haven't gotten to it yet. I'm still on Halo 1. Really working my way through it slow.
yeah. But I guess the point I'm getting at is that like the Halo Infinite presentation was what I was most excited about for this Xbox conference. And I don't know why I believe that like I thought this would be the one. I thought like for some reason, Microsoft would be firing on all cylinders and Halo Infinite would be like the Breath of the Wild moment for the Halo series.
I mean,
Um,
I don't know that. I feel like story is really important to a Halo game. I feel like, and I could be way off base saying that, but just,
It,
you
it
know,
it certainly was for the original trilogy, right? Like the whole fanfare around 3 of finishing the fight, that was
yeah.
so
But like
important
3
back
felt
then.
like the end of it to me.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
it feels a lot like I don't know if you guys have watched Supernatural or how much I'm really placing myself into a fandom here, but like it feels like it feels like it's going on like Supernatural did, where like nobody cares about the villain anymore. We just
Yeah,
want to see
doesn't that
Master
show
Chief
have
and
like
stuff.
over 20 seasons?
No, the 15th and final season is wrapping up later this year.
Final season.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, and it's okay.
I
They actually wrote a decent ending for it, but we had to sit through the Leviathans, which were it was a monster they fought that was killed by a cleaning product. It was unbearable.
okay. Um but like where Halo is concerned, like I always felt like I get it, right? Like Halo is synonymous with Xbox almost to the extent Mario is synonymous with Nintendo. Like, so like clearly after Bungie stopped working on it, like they wanted to keep it alive, but I just wonder if due to the obviously finance driven nature of these things, like will this happen to every other franchise? Like
I
when
also think
we when we inevitably get an Uncharted 5, is it going to be lackluster because Naughty Dog's not making it, like because these IPs
oh
I don't think will die, right?
yeah,
Because
it
money
absolutely
has to
will be. I
be,
think you're out of your
yeah.
mind if you think we're gonna like that Uncharted 5 will ever live up to a Naughty Dog Uncharted. I mean, it
Yeah.
happened to
I mean
Spyro
it
too.
won't. It won't.
There was a time when Spyro was synonymous with PlayStation,
Yeah.
and fourth Spyro game was garbage.
I
But
feel like this generation is Microsoft's last stand as a console producer. With last gen not doing so hot, I think this is the generation they need to make like a stand.
but here's the thing, they've already kind of tipped their hand at like they're way more interested in software than hardware,
Yeah,
right?
I
Like
was gonna say
Yeah.
they don't agree with you, Mike. They're only a console producer because they want you to have something to play their games on. It feels like. Like, they're,
I feel like this
with,
might be the last generation of
xCloud,
Xboxes, though.
with xCloud happening, they're already like they're treating Xbox like a PC at this point.
Yeah.
Insofar as like they're trying to give you the high fidelity PC gaming experience, but you don't have to build a PC.
Exactly.
That's what the Series X looks like it's trying to do.
And see, that's a great point you make, Connor, and that's another reason why I was disappointed in Halo Infinite. Okay, so from a gameplay perspective, I think it looks fine. You know, like personally, I like my Halo to be a little old school. I don't like the grappling hook. Maybe in other games it'll be fun, but I don't want it in Halo. But that's whatever.
Yeah, it's really weird. When I saw the Doom Eternal was having a grappling hook in it, I was like, oh, that's gonna be sick. But when I saw Master Chief do it, I was like, oh, they're really doing that, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
it just
maybe
doesn't
it's just
work.
Halo.
Halo's not a game about movement at all. It never has
It's
been.
not, you know, but like maybe that's just the Halo 3 purity in me coming out. But what I was getting at is that Xbox Series X and Microsoft has positioned that console specifically on power, power, power. This is where you play the most powerful games. Like that's their whole shtick so far with the Series X. So you can't really open your big first party games conference with Halo Infinite looking like that. You know, like it really was contrary to their message of like this is where the highest fidelity games are played on the Series X, and that kind of bothered me.
See, I did not think it looked bad.
It didn't look
looked
bad,
like the kind of
but
game
it just
you would
looked,
have to run at 4K 60 FPS on anything, you know? Like
It looked like an Xbox One game.
Compare that to their Hellblade like engine trailer, like you know what I mean? Like there's a stark difference there, and I don't know if that's just like obviously the game's still like several months out. Who knows? Maybe like they'll get a graphical bump when it releases, but I think Microsoft has to know like this obviously this is getting immense blowback, right? And like it's mostly because of the visuals, and obviously Craig, which we can get into, but
I mean, I still don't get it. I think the game looks good. I don't understand the hate on the visuals. I don't think it
okay,
looks
so I think it looks good, right? But like I think what people are expecting is like this is their flagship first party game. They wanted to be wowed by it, and I certainly
what did they want? A bunch of like god rays around? Like I don't know. Like you're walking around an open world. What are they gonna add? Reflections everywhere? Like it would be tacky. I don't know. Like because that's the big thing you get from ray tracing. But like if you overdo it, that looks like garbage.
But I don't think like it's not just a ray tracing issue. It's just like their general like I feel like the asset quality wasn't quite there, and I feel like there was pop-in everywhere with the grass, and we were told over and over again that the SSD would fix that problem, and it was
I
weird.
didn't notice the pop-in.
Oh yeah, like, and it's not even far away. Like grass right next to like the first-person camera is popping in, and it looks really, really weird and bizarre.
Huh.
And I feel like honestly, this is my guess, completely uneducated guess, but I feel like Halo Infinite just isn't ready, and Microsoft wants 343 to put it out for the Xbox Series X launch. And we know Halo Infinite is going to be more of like a Destiny like in the sense that they're saying there are not going to be more Halo games after this. They're saying that this is like Halo as a platform, and they're just going to add on to it from now on.
Oh, I hate that.
So that
a live service Halo.
I don't want to call it a live service because I still feel like it's like a full game with a campaign and a multiplayer component, but like they're saying that this is the final Halo and it'll just be added onto forever.
Well, I mean, there's a good chance that any of these could be the final Halo, regardless of their plans.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know. Like the internet is most upset about the visuals. They didn't offend me. I certainly expected more, and I think
thought the gameplay looked boring. Like it looked.
The gameplay
if you
looked
put
generic,
it next to Halo
really,
5 to me, I wouldn't be able to tell them apart. Like
the biggest offensive to me, like the gameplay just looked it looked fun, but I don't know, like it just didn't feel Halo to me.
See, I can't agree with that. I this is the biggest crime I think of this entire show. I didn't think a single game they showed looked fun, and that's not the game's fault. I thought every single one of these trailers was just kind of poor.
So that's the thing. Like Microsoft showed so many CG trailers and barely any gameplay. Like we got a decent meaty Halo Infinite gameplay and we got some Forza gameplay, but that was it. Like
Yeah,
From
and the Halo
every while-
gameplay they showed didn't make sense to me because like it wasn't like Halo has bombastic, exciting moments,
This
but they
was just like
showed
a
Master
normal
Chief
mission.
walking around a field shooting a couple guys.
Yeah,
Like,
this
Yeah.
wasn't anything special. Like at least if you're gonna show off a mission, like I think back to Sony's E3 like a few years ago when they showed off Uncharted 4 and they showed off that crazy set piece in the Jeep.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's what
So
I'm thinking
show
of
something
because
like that off.
Halo
Like,
has stuff like that. Like
I'm
Halo
sure
has
that-
the Warthog escape sequence.
I will say though, overall, like from an audio perspective, I enjoyed what I heard from the Halo gameplay. Like it sounded like Halo to me.
Yeah, the gun sounded good.
But yeah, I don't know. It was such a bizarre choice. Like
I think it's
really would
likely
love
that you're
to-
right, Ahmed, that the game's not ready because that seems to be a trend with 343 is releasing games that aren't ready, which could easily be Microsoft forcing 343 to release games that aren't ready.
I think
Like, you know, because the Master Chief Collection wasn't ready when it came out. I mean, at all.
honestly, I would much prefer if they're adamant on, like Halo Infinite is the, launch title to get with Xbox Series X. They've been saying that for a while now. If it's not ready, delay the Series X, like straight up. If a Series X launches with a massive Halo game, I'm there day one, like
I just don't. I don't know. If that was the most interesting thing they had to show, I don't think Infinite's ever going to be a massive Halo game. It just looked like a Halo game, which is fine. Halo games are fun. Don't get me wrong, but like making a Halo game open world does not make it more fun to me at all.
not at all.
I-
Like that's not what I
hate
want
that.
for Halo at all. Which
Yeah, I mean, I hear ODST made it interesting, and I haven't played that yet, but I don't know. I've actually in the past couple weeks I've played a lot of open world games, and the entire time I was playing them, I was thinking to myself, man,
Breath of the
this would
Wild.
be really cool if I knew where to go. Like, if this was a linear, like this game, like so many games just don't have enough to fill out the open world. But I'll
Yeah.
talk about that later.
But speaking on open world games, Connor, really quick, I think you're onto something there. I'm kind of over them too, honestly. And
Oh
I think,
yeah, no, I
like
am.
we've just been so saturated with so many
I
open.
mean,
world
there are games that need to be open world. You hand me a Spider-Man that's not open world, I don't know what you're doing. But like
I'm
Watch Dogs 2 did not do anything for me with the
Watch
open
Dogs 2
world.
felt like a good open world. Like there was
It-
enough enjoyable about it, and there wasn't. I hate when I open an open world game and I look at the map and it's just full of icons of things that I need to do.
See, but that's like
I
almost every
hate
open world
that.
game at this point. Like they're so templatey.
Yeah,
And I
like
feel
Watch
like-
Dogs 2 was a great game. I like gameplay wise, I thought that game was pretty fun. Had some issues with the writing, but we kind of already talked about that. Mike went over it. But like my beef with it was that like it didn't feel confident in its open world. Like a couple of times they would tell you the same thing they do in Spider-Man where they're like, "Hey, we need some time on this. Chill in our open world." And I wouldn't even have time to drive anywhere. Like it'd be less than 5 minutes. And they'd be like, "Hey, we need you to get back to base. We're ready for the next story mission." And like, I just kept kind of thinking like, man, what if they, instead of doing an open world, just made more of these like places you had to sneak into and hack and stuff? I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
The open decision making was very cool, but I think maybe a couple of big worlds instead of one massive open world would have been to their benefit.
Ubisoft really has this like stereotypical open world that they started doing.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do it in Watch Dogs, but have done it in almost every Far Cry game, and I think they're doing it in Assassin's Creed now, where
Yeah,
they'll give
for
you
sure.
like hundreds upon hundreds of things to do, but none of them are fun. They're just
See, I
things
didn't
to
even
check
feel
off
that
the list.
because I did almost everything in Watch Dogs too.
No, Watch
Like,
Dogs 2 did it right, but I'm
yeah,
talking
I didn't
about
feel like
Far
there was
Cry.
an abundance of content there. I felt like there was a
Or-
healthy amount, which made me feel like, maybe this open world, there wasn't that much in it, which was fine because I didn't want really any more than they did, but there were like entire areas where the story never touched.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially after like Skyrim came out, everyone and their mother was making open world games, and I think that's going to start changing now because I think people really are getting a little.
That's isn't like the map made it look like Halo Infinite was supposed to be that, right?
So I don't think it is. I think
'Cause I
like it's
saw-
gonna have like maps, right? Like it's gonna have like maps for missions and like
Okay.
those waypoints. will
Open-ended
have-
maps I can get
Yeah,
behind.
like-
That could be very cool.
Yeah, like kind of like in like wide linear, like Naughty Dog likes to say, like for Uncharted 4.
Yeah. Okay. That's got
Um,
potential.
Yeah, so but still like I don't know. I'm not feeling this game right now and I hope it turns out good. Like I don't really care about the graphics. If it's fun, like I'll be there day one because I'm yearning for that Halo sensation again. Like I miss that. But like this did not really inspire confidence. And also I feel like we gotta mention Craig.
Who's Craig? Is
Craig.
that the villain?
No, Craig's the brute.
So the really cringy like brute, like have you seen all the memes, Connor? There
No,
have been
I don't.
so
I
many.
am not looked into the Halo community.
Yeah,
Oh
like
no, it's everywhere.
it's just everywhere. This is one of those things that transcends the Halo community. Like it should be everywhere. Like I've seen it everywhere.
It's there's a scene where a Master Chief is shooting at a brute and it comes into melee range, and there's a still right there where there's just this blank-faced brute. That's Craig. Craig is really really thinking of his current state in the banished army and whether or not he should keep doing this or go back home to his family.
Yeah, I mean, like
that very moment.
Oh,
It-
you see, I had seen images of this guy. I thought this was a picture of the villain.
No, that's Craig.
actually, I thought it was a picture of the villain too. So I think you're right though, Mike. But like I don't know, like it's just weird, man. Like that weird close up they did when the villain did the monologue, it was just bad. Like it was cringy.
I gotta
I
wonder
thought,
if
like,
this was
it
even
just-
running on a Series X, like the
No,
demo that they were showing.
They said like apparently nothing we saw was actually running on a Series X. They were all running on PCs, which makes me think they should even look better. You know,
Yeah,
like
no,
yeah,
the
that's true.
Halo 3 brutes look better than the Halo Infinite brutes.
and I think that I don't know, like I watched several comparison videos between like, you know, like Halo 3, Halo Reach, Halo Infinite, and it's just like the smallest things. Like even the armor is more like vibrant and alien in the old Halo games. I think it's just I hate to say this, but I feel like it's
Bungie's
just
touch. Bungie.
yeah, I
is
feel like
better
it's
at
343
that.
is just not as good as Bungie. Like I think that's it.
You know what I think is weird? That Bungie left Halo and then did the whole space opera thing just
Yeah,
again.
it is kind of weird.
That's a tangent that we don't have to go into right now. But I was thinking about that the other day. Like, man, if you didn't want to do this, like, you should have. It would have been nice if you just kept making Halo because it needs you badly.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people are not too hot on Halo Infinite, and I hope 343 is listening, and I hope and it may be out of their control. Like we said, like they may be forced to release it in whatever state it's in when Series X comes out, but I hope they get to make the game. They're
Yeah,
trying
I mean, what I will say is 343 is good for it. They will finish it. They've
look at the
pretty
Master
much
Chief
proved
Collection.
that to me that
Yeah.
even if they have to release a game in a terrible state, they're not going to give up on it. You
Right.
know, they're still fixing the MCC.
I mean, side note, the MCC is brilliant now. Like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
I like it on PC. It's although I typically play it on controller. I realized Halo just isn't
Oh,
as
yeah.
fun on keyboard and mouse.
Halo is
Oh yeah, no,
meant-
Halo's meant for controller.
But yeah, I mean, like right after I saw that, like it kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit, and then like it didn't help that like afterwards, we'll get into the rest of the conference later, but like afterwards there was like a rumor going around that they're gonna ship multiplayer and the campaign separately, and I'm like, oh no, don't do that.
That's a no.
I mean, I'd be happy with that because that just means I have to install less on my PC. Because I'm not installing that multiplayer. I don't care. I just don't play my Halo multiplayer at all.
Like most games, I'm with you, Connor. Like I only care about the single player and don't care about the multiplayer. Like all of the Call of Duties, I'm like that. But for Halo, I'm straight up the opposite. I love multiplayer in Halo.
But when they say ship, do they mean sell or do they mean download? Because them being separate apps is a good thing. That's an
No,
objective
I mean like
good thing.
they're saying it like won't be there at launch. Like the multiplayer won't be there at launch. The campaigns.
Oh, that's weak.
but
That's-
again, that's a rumor. Don't take that to.
Yeah, I also saw a rumor that originally it was going to be open world, like the full Halo ring. And like, yeah, I like to think, cleaner heads prevailed. And that's just not going to happen. Because it's a bad
Yeah,
idea.
I don't know. Like, who knows what's happening at 343 right now? But
Yeah.
I wish them the best of luck, honestly. But
I
like.
feel like we should move on or we're never
Yeah,
going to get through the...
just moving on from that.
Conference.
Well, I feel like Halo Infinite needed a big,
Oh, yeah, it did. But,
but they showed Forza, which isn't really my cup of tea, but it looked pretty neat. Like it looked
Yeah,
really
I've heard a
pretty,
lot of
and it
people
had
say,
ray tracing.
like, even if you don't like racing games, if you have Game Pass and a beefy PC or a Series X, you should check out Forza just because it's available to you. And I kind of get that. Like,
Yeah.
it's a game
I
where you can just sit back and say, "Wow, PC good."
Yeah. And the trailer they showed, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it was ray traced out the wazoo. At least I saw
Yeah.
like reflections and
Yeah, I
stuff.
mean, it did not look like it was being rendered in real time, but they said it was, right?
Actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that.
I thought they did.
But I mean, let's be real. Like Forza games always look brilliant. I'm sure if that wasn't real, like it's pretty darn close to what it's going to
be
look like.
close, yeah.
But
Yeah, those games are pretty, and like those are games that like. Actually, I don't even know if that's true. I feel like metal and stuff are one of the easier things to make look like you can make a shiny and make it look really good in games. Not that that's anything against the Forza devs, because those games are just a joy to look at. But like, if you're gonna pick a game that's gonna be the thing that shows how graphically impressive your console can be, Forza's a good pick.
Yeah. But
It just has a lot of opportunities to show the new tech. So
yeah, for sure. But I was just going to say, like, after Forza, we didn't see any gameplay, which really kind of grinds my gears, right? Like, we basically just saw CGI trailers, right? And we saw like a CGI trailer for Everwild, and I mean, it looks cool as a concept, but afterwards, like, Rare came out and said that we don't really even know what gameplay we want for this game yet, and that just tells me that this isn't even really a game yet. Like, this is just an idea.
yeah, and we know how Rare, well, at least old Rare, iterates on ideas. I mean, the way I think most people who are plugged into this stuff know the history of Banjo-Kazooie and how many massive, massive changes it went through in development.
But yeah, I mean, that was a little disappointing to hear, but I'm sure when it comes out, it'll be brilliant because Rare.
It's Rare. I don't know.
Um,
I don't trust Rare to release brilliance anymore, but I trust them to eventually find it. The Sea of
Yeah.
Thieves released and it wasn't that great, but I have played. Even when I first started picking up Sea of Thieves, I wasn't super impressed, but they've released some amazing stuff lately. That game's very fun now.
I mean, Sea of Thieves is massive now, right?
Yeah, actually, since it released on Steam, it's been huge on there too. And
Yeah.
but yeah, they added like I don't want to rant about Sea of Thieves for too long, but they added these some of the Tall Tales I played, I got really turned off. Some of the early ones were kind of boring, but the newer ones they're doing, they're like hour-long missions you can do, and they're just amazing. They have like actual riddles that you have to do. You actually feel like you're playing a game, whereas, a lot of the riddles you do normally feel like you're like geocaching, except not as
Mhm.
good.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rare's sort of getting back in the groove after their huge slump, like where they made like Connect games and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think, Sea of Thieves is definitely a good indication. And I do believe Everwild will be good. It's just like, are we going to see it in 2025? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's that's a question mark. And let's see, moving on from that, we briefly saw, and this is out of order, I'm just going based off memory, but we briefly saw Hellblade 2 again. I was really hoping we'd get gameplay this time because they released that insane trailer at like the Game Awards when they revealed the Series X. But this was an even smaller trailer than that trailer, I think. Like, it was just a very
Hellblade's one of those. Have you played the first one?
No, but I want to.
See, my stance on Hellblade is I don't think they should show anything. The fact that they're making a second one is more than enough reason to buy it. That's how that if you're gonna, I just trust them after the first
Yeah.
one. I trust them blindly, and I don't want to see anything because
That's fair.
it's just the kind of game anything could spoil. Like, even spoiling the tone they're going for could be a spoiler, I feel like, for me. I'm particularly sensitive to spoilers,
Mm-hmm.
but, I feel like they're not going to tackle the same thing in this one as the last one, but knowing how they handled things in the last one, I'm excited to see it. There were some boring things in the first one, like puzzles that weren't very fun, but I will absolutely check it out because I think that's just an interesting project.
Yeah.
We also
Um,
got new Fable.
Yeah, at
Yeah,
the end they
that's-
teased Fable,
That's
Which-
probably the one I'm most likely to check out on release day.
which is, I don't know, like when they did their one more thing,
Oh, that's
like,
not true. Psychonauts 2. Jeez, Psychonauts 2. Oh, we got gameplay for Psychonauts 2.
did we? I don't remember.
Yeah, quite a bit. And that game looks, mwah.
So I really don't know anything about Psychonauts, but you can talk to that.
It's a fun 3D platformer. That's really what there is to it. The original had some you're basically this kid named Raz, and you go to what's called Psychonaut Camp, and Psychonauts are like psychics, and you have psychic powers. You can set stuff on fire with your mind. You can shoot little like mind blasts. You have this thing called a psi bubble thing, or a thought bubble, it might be called. I don't remember, that you can like roll around on to go faster, and it's super fun. You can do like acrobatics. It's like one of the old types of platformers where if you fall in water, you get hurt, which is whatever. But basically, you get this door that you throw on people's heads, and then Raz puts on his goggles and floats into their minds, and then like you get a world that is also a character essentially. Like they're able to really really flesh out these characters because you literally run around in their minds. You can find stuff called baggage that like tells you a backstory about them, and you actually have to find that around, and it's like little presented as little slideshows. But there's also like really good environmental storytelling. Like essentially these characters have trauma and stuff that you can kind of learn about just by looking around the environment because their head turns a certain way. There's some famous ones in the back half of the game. You actually go into an asylum, and you have to go into a bunch of mentally ill patients' heads, and it's kind of wild that they went into those, in my opinion, extremely dangerous waters. But I felt like they handled everything super well. Raz as a character is incredibly compassionate to the people. What I don't like is that maybe it simplifies mental health a little bit because you kind of go into these people's heads and cure them, which I don't love, but it's definitely fun and interesting. And one of those levels is like one of the most iconic levels in all of 3D platforming, called the Milkman Conspiracy. And it also has like elements of like point and click adventure stuff. Sorta. It has some puzzles kind of like that, but presented as also a 3D platformer. So I personally don't get bored because I like those puzzles, but I don't really like point and click adventures very much.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun. I would absolutely. Psychonauts 1 holds up today, and actually still, like, if you play it on a PC in a modern resolution, that game looks good still.
Sweet.
And yeah, Psychonauts 2, I mean, honestly, after watching the gameplay, I have no doubt in my mind it's going to be good. I don't know how good, but it's going to be, a minimum 6 or 7 out of 10. Probably 8 or 9.
Yeah, and Double Fine makes really good games, so.
Yeah, and there's so much passion, all the. Yeah, it's going to be a good game.
But yeah, Mike, you briefly brought up Fable, and they ended the show with that, which everyone knew Fable was coming, so I was expecting like that last announcement to be more of a surprise thing, maybe like the Initiatives game, because they're working on like a super secret, like they're calling it a quadruple A game, whatever that means.
Oh my god,
that's a lot of money.
But
it's the second Strands type game.
Fable, like that's awesome. But yeah, Fable, like I enjoyed Fable a lot, but it was never like mind blowing. I feel like this Fable, it's being made by Playground Games, who make the Forza Horizon games. Like they're branching out from like these racing sims to make the new Fable, and I think that's really interesting. So I think their take on Fable is going to be very maybe unique, and I think it might be the evolution that franchise needs.
Yeah,
but
I
can't garner too much because all we got was a CG trailer.
I'm in a weird position where I really, really, really wanted the first Fable game as a kid, but my parents wouldn't buy it for me. And now I am 23 and have never played a Fable game. And this, like, where this is in Game Pass, that I'm gonna play it. I'm probably gonna play all these games at least for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. That's the biggest takeaway from this conference is that all of these games are on Game Pass day one, right? And
yeah. So that's the wild thing. I will play all of these games regardless. Like.
Yeah.
And that's incredible. And that's just such an incredible value. Like, Game Pass was an incredible value last year. but like going forward, geez.
Yeah, it's insane.
I think that you would be just out of your mind to get an Xbox right now and not have Game Pass.
It really doesn't make sense, like objectively, like from a monetary perspective. You're just unless like you only play like maybe one game a year or something.
Yeah, I mean,
like
if you're one of those people that just play, like you have an
if
Xbox,
you know
but
you
your
want
Xbox
Halo.
your Xbox is a Destiny machine and that's it.
Yeah.
But even if you play like 4 games a year, like then suddenly Game Pass is looking like a pretty good value.
Yeah, because it's like $15 a month, right?
Yeah, that's for Ultimate. I think it's less for
Yeah. Ultimate
for-
just bundles in live, right?
I thought they
Or,
both
sorry,
did.
not-
Ultimate has
console.
Game Pass console and Game Pass PC and maybe bundles in live.
Okay.
And the rumors are that you're not gonna need live anymore next gen. I've seen.
Yeah, that would
But
be.
I don't know how
I
reliable
think they're
those
just
are.
gonna fold that into Game Pass, right? So,
Yeah,
which
I
makes
think would
sense.
be a very good move because that was I didn't know if my friend was interested in Game Pass, but I knew he would want Xbox Live and he hadn't had it for a while, so that was what I got him for Christmas. I got him like a couple months of, because it was like super cheap and stuff. It was a reasonable gift to get a friend at the time. Game Pass was because it was like, deeply cut on sale, and because of that, we've played more games the past 9 months or whatever than we have in like years, just because we both have access to this catalog of games. And that's another thing that Game Pass gives you. It takes much less convincing to get one of my friends to play a game with me because there's no financial risk. They just download it, and if they don't like it, they delete it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a brilliant move, and I definitely think like it has to be answered by its competitors, Microsoft's competitors, in some fashion. It has to. Which is all around. It just means good things for the consumer, right? Like,
Well, I really think the only person who I would expect to answer it is Sony, because like,
you don't think Nintendo would bother doing something
no,
like that?
no.
I guess Nintendo plays in their own world.
I mean, Nintendo already thinks that they are. I'm sure that they think that their Nintendo Online with NES and SNES games is absolutely the same. I
Gosh.
guarantee that they think that.
Oh God, Nintendo.
But
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, that can't be understood. Game Pass. I feel like this was almost like a conference for Game Pass more than it was for Series X.
Yeah, I mean, I did not walk away from this thinking like, man, I need a Series X. I walked away thinking like, man, I really like that I have Game Pass.
Yeah.
And like, I walked away thinking like,
And I think that's what
'cause
they
they're-
wanted you to walk away with, right? Like
I'm pretty sure they're gonna raise the price here soon because I think I'm like grandfathered in to only be paying like $4 a month or something. And
Jeez, what?
yeah, on Game Pass PC is in beta, so it's far cheaper than console.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure. I think it's like $10 on console and $15 for Ultimate,
Yeah, that sounds right.
which gives you both. And I think it's gonna go up to like $10 on PC here soon. And like after this conference, I'm gonna still have it. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And if they include xCloud on Ultimate, which I believe they are, I'll probably get that. I'll probably upgrade to that so that I can play the console, like, because some games get put on Game Pass console but not on Game Pass PC, and I might upgrade to Ultimate so that I can play those on xCloud. So
Yeah. Yeah, xCloud is another, I think, cool X factor that Microsoft has going that I feel like they haven't talked too much about it lately, but I'm excited to see it come back into the forefront.
yeah, I'm pulling this out of nowhere, but I like to think that they're like on the verge of like getting it and it being like it actually meeting the promise of cloud gaming, and they're like, well, let's wrap this up before we show everybody, and they're gonna pull out this -1 millisecond delay stuff, like,
Yeah, I see that coming too.
like, oh, we know, we read your mind, we know what button you're gonna push before you press it, and but you might as well put the controller down. We already know what you're gonna try to do. Like, I don't know.
But yeah, getting back into the games themselves, because there's still more, and I feel like we should probably get into
on a
them. Yeah.
tangent. Yeah.
I personally was most impressed with Obsidian, what they showed, even though like they didn't really show like
Wasn't it? They just showed an Outer Worlds DLC, right?
no, they showed three things. the Outer Worlds DLC, which I really couldn't care less about.
Yeah,
But then
me neither.
but then they showed Grounded, which looked like a really neat
That's out
multiplayer
today,
game.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's out. Yeah, and it's doing really well, like in early access and everything. It was like #2 on Twitch or something like that.
Yeah, I saw
And
some
it looked
streamers
really
playing it.
cool. I thought it was a really neat idea, actually.
I didn't like the art style. That's kind of the only thing
It
that
was
turned me
kind of
away from it.
Fortnite-y, right?
Yeah,
It seemed kind of Fortnite-y to me, which I mean, I get it. Like everyone's wants a piece of that pie. But I think the thing that impressed me most, which, obviously it was just a CG trailer, but Avowed, like it's their next like big like RPG, first person RPG, and it gave me like Elder Scrolls-y vibes, and like I thought, like, I don't know, Avowed looked really really cool to me, but obviously like we know next to nothing about that game because like it wasn't really shown.
yeah.
I don't know, like Mike, I know you're into Obsidian's games, right?
I've only played New Vegas. That was the last Obsidian game I played.
Ah, okay.
Outer Worlds looked boring.
It actually kind of did.
I mean,
I watched a lot of it.
Outer Worlds, like I played it to completion. It's a solid, I think, 7 out of 10. Like it's pretty
Really?
good, but it's nothing remarkable in my book.
See, that shows the difference in our scale because a 7 out of 10 is pretty remarkable to me.
Yeah, I think we just have different ways of thinking about that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you're a lot harsher than me too.
maybe. Like a 5 out of 10 is a game that I liked, but like not totally sure I would recommend to a lot of people.
Yeah.
For me, so
Yeah, Obsidian's sort of, I think that was a little highlight for me of the whole thing, like just based off the potential I saw there.
Another call out to how beautiful Game Pass is. I just said that I wasn't interested in this game, but it's only 3.73 gigs, so I'm downloading it and I'm gonna play it anyway.
Nice. Are any of you into State of Decay?
No,
They showed
no,
State
and I
of
thought
Decay
that trailer was
3.
really boring.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty big game for them, like a franchise for them, right? But like
Yeah.
it never really interested me. But they did, they showed State of Decay 3.
What is with zombie games in the past like 5 years? And
Ever
like,
since The Walking Dead became popular, like zombie game, we've never stopped getting zombie
but
games.
their trailers are all shot exactly the same. It's like, oh, person doing this fairly normal thing, and then suddenly zombies, and the trailer's over. Like
I mean,
that is
like,
such a common.
here's the thing
trailer.
though. I think it works, right? Because like zombie
I-
media is just insanely popular. Like people
I don't think it
eat
works.
that
It tells
up.
you nothing about the game. It literally tells me, oh, it's another zombie game.
I think-
Cool.
Honestly, I think for like a lot of people that's enough.
I hate that.
And
People
so,
are sheep.
so just to go over some of the rest of the games that were shown, the Medium.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. It looked mysterious. I don't really have too much else to say. I know Stalker 2 looked kind of, like was kind of popular, but like I don't really know too much about Stalker. It looked, freaky, and I guess if you're into that sort of thing, that's cool. And they did do like a Phantasy Star Online 2 announcement. I don't know if that did anything for you, Connor.
Yeah. I mean, basically, it told me to quit playing Phantasy Star Online 2. That's what it told me. Because the better version will be out in less than a year.
Mhm.
Basically. Because
Yeah.
that's not, like... I don't know why that wasn't called Phantasy Star Online 3. Because essentially, like, from what I was reading, your character does not transfer over. Your unlocks do not transfer over. Your items do not transfer over. Your money does not transfer over. It's not
That's
the
weird.
same game. Yeah. But it looked good. So, like, yeah, I'm just going to hold out because I feel like I'm wasting my time playing Phantasy Star Online 2 now. Like, I haven't been playing it much anyway. So, I don't know. It just kind of seemed like,
Yeah, speaking of like, like we Phantasy Star 2 Online 2 is like an ever-present thing that just keeps evolving. We saw Destiny 2 also at this conference, which kind of surprised me because they've kind of ever since, they were with Activision, they were always with like Sony first.
yeah,
But I
so
think
that's getting added to Game Pass, right?
I believe
it-
so. Yeah,
That'll be
it will
interesting.
support on Series X, Xbox One, and xCloud.
Yeah.
at 4K 60, which is really cool. I think Destiny needs to be played in 4K 60, which is why I really haven't touched it and I'm waiting for PS5 to resume.
Really? Why do you think it needs to be played in 4K 60?
It just the footage I've seen is just so buttery smooth, or like
Yeah.
more importantly 60. Like I don't really care about 4K.
Yeah, I've been playing it in 1080p 60, and
Yeah.
like it's good.
Yeah,
I typically
Bungie
play
games
it. That's
at
what I use
60,
GeForce
like,
Now because
yeah.
that game's massive. That's actually been the beauty of GeForce Now for me lately is that I can play games without like I can play around a Fortnite without having to install the 103 gigs or whatever that is Fortnite.
Is Fortnite really that big?
Oh my God, it's gigantic. Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, no, dude, PC gaming is a dystopia for file sizes right now. That's why I was so excited Grounded's only like 4 gigs. So that was an instant install for me. I have
Yes.
terabytes that are both full right now. It's
Yeah.
absurd.
It's just the nature of gaming in 2020.
No, it's not. It's the nature of people not compressing their audio, but whatever.
right,
But
like,
my
that's
uncompressed audio.
God,
and
it's gaming in 2020.
It's also textures too.
Yeah, yeah, but you can't get around it with textures. I can complain about audio because they could be compressing it and they're not.
Yeah,
Texture compression is a much bigger problem.
And then you'd have angry audiophiles like me who enjoy their audio not to sound crackly.
Okay, well, we release 4K textures separate. Maybe we should be releasing high fidelity audio separate. I don't know.
Your uncompressed audio, you unwashed masses.
I hate it, dude. I hate that. I hate that I feel like I have to like play around with files every time I want to install a new game because I have a fast internet connection, but it's not that fast. Like I still want to keep my core games installed all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm close to buying another terabyte, but like part of me thinks like, does adding another terabyte, is that worth the $100 that it's going to be to get a nice SSD? Like, I don't think it is because I'll fill it up with 5 games, Like, I'll just keep playing
What
around.
games are you installing that can fill a terabyte that fast?
Let's see. Sea of Thieves is not small. Master Chief Collection is getting gigantic. Phantasy Star Online 2 was not small. Final Fantasy 15 I could probably uninstall, but that's pretty big. Shadow of War is gigantic. I had Modern Warfare installed to play.
That's over 100 gigs too.
Yeah, whatever the battle royale. That was like 150. Like these games are gigantic. It's not literally 5 games, but it's not very many. The vast majority of the games I play are indie, and they're not a problem. I don't
Right.
need to buy a new. I have 100 gigs, and that's infinite indie games basically. But 100 gigs is not enough to download one AAA game anymore, and that sucks. Like
Yeah,
I straight
it's
up,
wild.
I can't have Destiny 2 installed right now. I don't know what I would delete because, I could delete all of my indie games and not even come close to making enough room, or I could delete 1 or 2 of the very few AAA games that I play, and then I don't have that anymore. I don't know. I'm annoyed. I hate that storage is suddenly a problem again. That's the problem that cloud gaming solves for me. That's the only one that I care about, really.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the latency is a big thing for me for cloud gaming, but
NVIDIA GeForce Now, I do not notice it when I'm playing Destiny 2 at all.
really, Destiny
Yeah.
2.
Yeah,
That's a
notice it.
pretty, like, if it was there, you'd notice it on Destiny 2.
Yeah, it does not bother me. Rocket League, it bothered me. But I'm not good at Rocket League, but I would consider myself I've played enough Rocket League that a small change is going to be massive to me. So I noticed it in that.
I'm sure that problem will, like I feel like,
Yeah.
xCloud's working on that like heavily.
Yeah, I wish I could play my Game Pass games on on GeForce Now right now, but obviously Xbox is not going to allow that.
So you're
with
gonna have to
xCloud
wait
coming.
for xCloud.
Which sucks. I wish they would put them up there for now, because there are a lot of games that you can play on Steam on GeForce Now, but you can't play them on Xbox on GeForce Now. And that's annoying, because I don't have them on Steam. I have them on Xbox. But whatever.
So the last sort of game that's on my mind that I think deserves a shout out here is Tell Me Why, which is Dontnod's new game. And Dontnod, obviously Life is Strange fame. I think, obviously their games are always really good, so I'm excited to check
See,
that
I
out.
didn't realize that was the Life is Strange guys because I watched that trailer and I thought it was really boring. But
Yeah,
now that I know that it's
the trailer didn't. I mean, in a vacuum, I didn't really care at all about that trailer, but I just know what Dontnod could do, so I'm like, that's almost an insta buy for me.
yeah, now that you don't have to buy it because it's on Game Pass.
Right.
But
Insta download.
yeah, now that I know that it's by them, it's an instant download for me. But again, all of the trailers were awful at this. Like none of them were good. I don't know why. It was like they were all shot by the same people, and all they had in mind was that final
Maybe
final
they had
trailer
like
cut.
a Microsoft marketing robot do it all.
I mean, it was just bad. Like they were all so boring, so boring.
But yeah, there were
And,
other games shown, but like that's all I can think of at the top of my head. Like, are there any others that are coming to your guys' attention?
I mean, my only takeaway was Psychonauts 2 and Halo Infinite, and Halo Infinite only made the list because it was like a 20-minute trailer.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I saw
Oh, I hated the
some.
Fable trailer. I thought it was terrible.
I mean,
But
it didn't really tell you anything. It was just a
yeah,
concept trailer. Like
I'm
so many
interested
of
in
the
a
ones
Halo game, but watching a fairy
Microsoft
get eaten by
had.
a frog is boring and played out.
Yeah, I mean, like I hate to do this, right? Like I don't want to compare Microsoft to Sony, but like I feel like after Sony put theirs out, they should at least like after Microsoft saw that, they had several weeks to prepare. At least, scrounge up a little more gameplay, I think. Less
Yeah.
CGI trailers. Like the benefit of the PS5 conference, like before it began, there was like this message that appeared on screen, like everything you see from this point forward is captured directly off of a PlayStation 5 console system. And
Yeah, it's kind of weird because this showcase told me that like I want to play a lot of these games, but I did not see a reason to buy a Series X because all of them looked like I didn't feel like I'd be getting that much value. Like they'd be fine on my PC, and they're all coming to PC.
Yeah,
So
I mean, like,
why?
I don't think a Series X really makes sense for you. For someone like me who's into console gaming, like, before this conference, honestly, I was excited for a Series X day one
Yeah,
because of Halo, right?
right.
But right now, like, I kind of want to wait for, Halo to come out and impressions to come in before I buy a Series X. So I hate to say
Yeah.
it, but I feel like this conference,
This
like,
conference told me I'm probably getting a PS5.
convinced me not to buy a Series X when I
Yeah,
was previously buying a Series X.
Like I was thinking like, I'm probably gonna pick up one of the two next gen, and like, this conference really just told me like, I can already play all of these games without one. Why would I buy one? Let's get a PS5.
And in terms of like Microsoft's exclusives, like I feel like only Halo and Forza are going to be ready for launch. And even Halo, like we think is probably not it going is probably going to be undercooked, right?
Yeah.
So like that's I don't know, like historically console launches aren't all that, but like I feel like
Yeah,
if
I
you're
mean, you weren't
launching
gonna
with
get a
Halo,
Breath
man,
of the
it
Wild.
needs to
I
be
think
impressive.
Halo Infinite needed to be a Breath of the Wild, and it's not really going to be.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? Like the rumored budget for Halo Infinite is $500 million,
That's a lot.
which is more than any other video game ever made, like easily.
Oh, it's not gonna make that back, huh? Well,
So-
it might if it's just taking a cut of
I
Game
mean, if
Pass,
it's a service game, yeah, it will.
yeah.
Which it seems to be, I guess. I don't know. Like I really feel gross thinking about Halo right now.
Yeah, Halo as a service doesn't really make sense to me. I guess it could. I mean, that's what's weird. Halo's not a multiplayer game to me, and it is to so many people.
Oh, it definitely is to me.
Yeah. So,
Like
God, I wish I would do anything to be able, not anything, but like, God, I wish I could play cross-platform co-op on the Master Chief Collection. My buddy Tyler's been wanting me to play Halo for like 15 years, and now I finally have it, and we can't play the co-op together.
It's
and
weird
it just,
that you can't do that, right? Like I thought Microsoft was all about,
it's
cross-platform.
planned. It's planned, but it is
Okay.
not their priority right now.
Right.
And like, part of me is like waiting.
Also, I
that's-
swear,
I feel
If
like by the
Halo
time Halo
Infinite-
Infinite comes out, it will be
I
cross-platform.
swear to God, if Halo Infinite does not have couch co-op, like I will not buy a Series X. I swear.
Halo 5 did it?
No, it didn't.
Oh, yeah, I don't think Infinite will.
Like That was the most magical part of Halo to me, the couch co-op. I loved. There were so many nights just hanging out with my friends playing, like on the couch playing Halo 3. Like that's
Build a PC instead. You can do couch co-op on the Master Chief Collection on PC. With
how does that
I think
work?
it's called Nucleus Co-op. It's like a hack kind of thing. You basically just run two entire instances of the game, and it tricks it into doing controllers. So you could even do separate monitors if you wanted to.
I mean, that's cool, but just put couch co-op on your game, please. Please.
They're not gonna do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not, but I'm hopeful.
Amit, side note, it's not like you're gonna be able to play couch co-op this December.
Right. Yep. Still in the pandemic. Still
Yeah.
like
It's not
Like,
we live in America. This
Yeah.
could be solved in 6 weeks, but it's not gonna be for a year and a half.
Yeah, we're gonna. I
Not
hope
until
you're
the
ready for
vaccine
the
comes out.
long-term shutdown.
oh gosh.
Who says people are taking the vaccine?
I mean, I don't care.
This is America.
Like, I don't care if people take the vaccine or not. Like, I'm taking the vaccine, and then I'm gonna go
Yeah.
out in the world. It's on
Yeah,
you
the
if
way
you're not gonna take the
vaccines work.
vaccine.
Yeah, as long as I take the vaccine, I'm fine. That doesn't help immunocompromised people, but I will not be a part of the problem if I get the vaccine and start
Exactly.
going out. And
Yeah.
I will be very happy, and I will do that.
God, now I'm all riled up thinking about the pandemic and Microsoft's showing.
Sorry.
What were you playing, Connor?
What am I playing?
Yeah.
I got a couple of games. I think I'm going to start with Carrion because that's the game I've been playing the most. And I think I've talked.
I played the demo for that.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. It's out, and
I need to buy it.
it is pretty fun. I liked it. It's probably a 7 out of 10 for me if I'm assigning numbers, 6 or 7.
And Connor's
It
7
does-
is like my 8. So
Yeah, it does have its problems. It gets a little repetitive,
what is it?
but it shakes up the formula enough. My biggest problem with it, and I get what they're doing, there's like it's a Metroidvania kinda, and it definitely turns into more of a Metroidvania towards the end of the game because the more power. It's weird because it's super linear until your powers start making it not linear anymore because you start breaking down these barriers that kind of make you realize that these linear levels you played through actually are not that separate that you thought they were. And that's kind of an interesting take on it because I saw it described as a Metroidvania and I didn't really agree with that. And I'm not a stickler I don't need it to adhere strictly to the Metroidvania formula. I had a lot of fun just playing. It was a Game Pass game. I fired it up. I got to play as a monster, eat some scientists. But the design got really interesting later on, and I thought it was doing a pretty good job of guiding me where I needed to go, but it does not have a map. There's not a map screen that you can look at, and that wasn't a huge problem until I had to go visit my mom for a weekend, and I fired the game back up, and it does not at all tell you where to go. I do not think that I can finish this game.
I mean, isn't that kind of like a hallmark of Metroidvanias, though? Like, you just sort of have to figure it out.
No, but a
backtrack.
Metroidvania, almost always you're like, oh, I know that I haven't been here yet. I can go check. Can I get to it? I have no way of looking at that. I do not this map is gigantic, and I do not know. The only way to know where I haven't been is if there are people still alive there when I get there, and it's labyrinthine. It's a 2D map, but there are doors you can step into. That's another thing Metroidvanias typically don't do. It's a purely 2D map. There are not doors that you can go into, and this game does have those doors that you can go into that just kind of confuse things for me. And I'm gonna try because it's really fun, and I even kind of want to 100% it, but I don't know. I think I'm at the very end of the game because I'm running out of buttons to add powers to. But I do not know where to go at all.
I mean, are you that against looking up like a guide or something?
No, I'm probably going to. The problem with looking up a guide is there are named areas and everything, but you visit them multiple times with new powers. And so I don't even really know how to find where I'm at because I haven't gotten a new power in a while. And I've been to a couple, I don't even know if I've been going the right direction for the past 30 minutes. So
Jeez.
even if I found a guide that told me where to go from where I'm supposed to be, I don't know if I could get back there. So that's a pretty that is maybe a big flaw. But maybe this is the part of the game where I'm supposed to go back and pick up the scraps and then something will eventually become clear to me. I really can't tell yet. So I'm not willing to call that a flaw just yet. Because I liked that it didn't have a map because you're a giant meat monster. Like, you probably couldn't read a map if you had one. And there have been these, like, panels on the wall that kind of tell you, like their information for the human scientists to read, and it's like, oh, the monster was last detected here, everybody is supposed to report here to hide, and you're like, oh, well, that's where I'm going. And that's been cool. And it also, like, there are signs posted every once in a while that tell you, like, how destroyed an area is, and that kind of tells you, like, have I done everything there? And so that's all super smart diegetic UI that I really like. But I'm hitting. I'd kind of like a map right now. Even if it was like a room that had a map in it that I could go look at, that would be excellent. That would absolutely solve it. I don't need a button, but I do wish. And I feel like it wouldn't have been an issue if I didn't have to walk away from the game. If I could have played it all in like 1 or 2 sittings, but that's not realistic in modern life.
Yeah.
But I really like it. Another game I played Just Cause 4 for about an hour, and I hated it, and I don't really play it anymore. That game is so boring.
I think those games are like the I don't know, like the Transformers of games, right? Like the Transformers movies.
Yeah.
Just like turn off your brain and enjoy the explosions.
I typically like B-movie level writing in games and stuff, but like I could not turn my brain off enough to make this story make sense. Like, you hide in this like third world country town, and people show up with guns looking for you, and they start shooting civilians, and the civilians suddenly become, like, immediately in like a split second, become an armed militia fighting for you, and they'll do whatever you tell them.
To be fair, I don't really think anyone's ever played Just Cause games for the story.
I know, I'm asking a lot. But, like, I don't know. The combat didn't really do it for me either. Like, the random chaotic stuff you could do was kind of neat. And, like, the explosions looked kind of nice. But the visuals weren't so good that I could just, like, let my eyes glaze over and watch the movie. I don't know. It didn't do it for me. I'm probably going to uninstall it later today. I got it for free. And the other game I played is Watch Dogs 2, which, I liked the gameplay.
A lot of Watch Dogs 2 these past few weeks.
Yeah, well, they gave it away for free.
Oh, right, yeah. Forgot about that.
So that's why I played it. And Watch Dogs 2 did tell me that I'm probably going to pick up Watch Dogs Legion day 1.
Yeah, Legion is looking quite promising.
But Watch Dogs 2 had some serious, and I think they're solving this with Watch Dogs Legion, because they're kind of like, you're almost a terrorist cell in Watch Dogs Legion. Like, you're an actual rebel cause and everything. But in Watch Dogs 2, you play as like these plucky hackers, and in the cutscenes, you're like the good guys. You're standing up to the man and stuff. But like in the actual gameplay, you're 3D printing firearms and killing innocent security guards, like, a lot. You don't have to, but if you don't, it feels like you're playing the game wrong. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of lethal stuff in Watch Dogs 2 that just doesn't. Like, there's a part where somebody kills somebody, and like you're going on this revenge mission against a gang, and I was like, all right, this is it. I'm like, yeah, I feel okay shooting these people. Like, the protagonist is mad. It's maybe weird that he's so good with guns when he's just supposed to be a nerdy hacker, but that's fine. I can look past it. There's like a thing I unlocked where I could like call the police in, and they would do a lot of the dirty work for me. And I was like, yes, this is cool. I can sneak in the chaos and do what I need to do while the police are causing problems as they do. And I also felt like there were a couple of parts where like the feds were after you, and like almost in a Grand Theft Auto sense, like, yeah, these people are screwing you over. Like, maybe it's not so bad to fight them with lethal means, but like for most of the game, like even stealing somebody's car felt wrong. Like I can scan these people and like learn about them, like they're actual characters, and I'm just gonna take their car. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah,
And,
I think that's just one of those like open worldy things that are like dissonant with the actual narrative being told, you
yeah,
know?
but this is the worst case of it I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like people like
Yeah,
to bring that
in
up
my
with
brief
Uncharted.
time with Watch Dogs 2, I did notice that dissonance there, and it was kind of jarring.
But I think
Like,
it's going to be better. Like you can play as an actual assassin in Watch Dogs Legion. They showed that, and like that alone that's a solved problem. All of a sudden, like if he's somebody that is comfortable killing, then like okay, you know what, you've solved it. We're good.
yeah.
But like I don't know, man. Like it was weird. And also, if I hear the word hack and data, like I get it. It was weird. The dialogue in it was written well enough that they actually really captured the feeling of a game jam, in my opinion, in the hacker space. Like there were a couple parts where it really did feel like the same as us doing a game jam in the Game Developers Club. And I think that their ability to capture that culture is really good. But then you'd be like driving around and they'd be like, "Hey, Marcus, somebody's hacking your data," and blah blah blah. And the answer was to go shoot them. And I'm like, all right, this is kind of dumb. And also, if I have to hear the word hack and data one more time, I'm gonna throw up in my mouth. Like,
Hack the planet, man. I
yeah,
did like
but-
the writing of Watch Dogs 2 because it felt fun. Everything was like a jaunt. It didn't
But yeah.
try to be like dark and edgy. It was just like
exactly.
a bunch of millennials running around San Francisco fighting the man.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 6.5 out of 10.
I'd give it a more generous 7.5.
Yeah, it leans towards 7. If it
Where
weren't for
a
the
5
writing,
is like an average game.
Guys,
it
are
weren't
we
for the-
are we gonna start reviewing games now and putting numbers on them?
Yeah,
I mean,
but
maybe.
my review
I
scale
feel the
of
need
5
to
is
when I, like,
average.
I feel the need to when I say a bunch of negative stuff about a game because I really did enjoy this game
Right.
and I would recommend it even if it wasn't for free. I would recommend it because I would say that it's a better game than GTA 5 easily.
I mean, I agree with you because I dislike GTA 5, but I'm sure a lot of people would take issue with that.
See, I like GTA 5.
7 for me. Yeah.
Yeah, GTA 5, I don't know. The open world, when you add this hacking stuff to it, that does a lot for me. It just got more interesting. I think that's all I've played the past week. I played a lot of games.
Yeah, I've played quite a few as well. I'm just thinking about them, going through them in my head. So I finished my second playthrough of The Last of Us Part 2. I finished my second playthrough of God of War. I've played a lot of video games, okay? There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And I started playing Ghost of Tsushima, which is the main thing I want to talk about today.
I've heard very good things about
So I'm really enjoying this game, and I think the biggest thing about it is that they nail the tone. Like, it feels like the perfect samurai game. And I don't think we've really gotten a true samurai game before this one. And I think it is an
is
open world
Sekiro
game.
not a samurai game?
It's really not. It's like an action Souls-like, and more action-y Souls-like game, right? Like,
Okay.
and I don't want to call Neo a samurai game either, because it's also trying to be a Souls-like, but it's more focused on like it's more Dark Soulsy than even Sekiro in the sense that like there's so many different build options and stats and stuff. But Sekiro is just like pure twitchy action.
Okay.
But like this is a grounded samurai. Like there are no fantastical elements. It's like an actual samurai game, and they said they were inspired by Akira Kurosawa's samurai films, and it really shows. Like this is mimicking that style to a T almost. And just to introduce some criticism, like there is some open worldliness to it, but I think the reason I'm okay with it is because the presentation of this game is just so darn good, right? Like the UI is very minimal, right? Like if it shows up, right, like it goes away as soon as like it isn't needed anymore. And I really like that about this game, like because there's so many beautiful like landscapes and stuff to look at in this game. Like almost every shot of this game, like I feel like you could hang up as like a poster. Like it's just gorgeous, the style. And I think that really solves some of the open worldy problems too, the style, right? Like if you open up your map, right, and click like I want to go here, right? You don't have to like keep consulting your map to get there, because the wind will start blowing in that direction and you just sort of follow the wind and you'll get to where you're going to go eventually.
That's very good.
And yeah, I thought that was really cool. And like I think another big aspect of this game that I didn't really see coming is the customization options. Like there are all sorts of like cool like straw hats and ninja headbands and face masks and like samurai armor or like Ronin robes or like wanderers capes that you can equip, and like you just look so cool and you look like a real samurai. And the combat is like it's very uh at least like on the difficulty I'm playing on hard. Like if you get cut like 3 or 4 times, you're dead, right? Like you're not going to be able to take like 3,000 hits. So the combat has to be like very, it's measured and like precise. It's like a more refined what's the best way to put it? It's like not like Sekiro or Neo at all. It's kind of like Spider-Man, I guess, but like there's definitely more of an emphasis on like sword parrying and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But the combat, actually, I think the combat is honestly the best part about this game. Like it feels so visceral. And my favorite thing to do, there's this skill called like a standoff, right? So when you approach like the enemies are the Mongols in this game. It takes place in 13th century Japan, the Mongol invasion of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And when you approach like a group of Mongols, uh, Jin, the main character, he calls them out, right? Like, and a standoff begins, right? So it's like almost like an old Western, but Japanese. So like an old samurai movie, right? So the two characters like square off, and you're basically like holding triangle down, right? And what you're supposed to do as soon as the character like moves to attack you, you're supposed to let go of triangle, and that'll like unsheath your sword and cut them down and begin the fight, right? But you can like upgrade that skill to like take down up to 3 enemies that way. So like
Wow.
it's really cool. So like you're standing off with this enemy, and they do like feint attacks to try and get you to like let go of triangle at the right time. But like they attack you, you cut them down. Another one comes at you, you cut him down too in one stroke, and then the third one comes out, you cut him down, and then you start actually fighting with the rest of the enemies, and it's just so freaking cool. Um, so I think they just nailed the feeling of samurai combat, and the story is really good too. Like it's not like mind blowing or anything, like especially coming out off of The Last of Us Part Two, but like it's really good, and like you really feel for Jin and his journey, and the sort of like duality of what he's facing, right? Like he is an honorable samurai, but he has to basically kill that part of himself if he is to win this war against the Mongols and become more of like a ghost, right? So that's the name, Ghost of Tsushima. And what do I mean by ghost, right? Like he has to resort to dirty tricks like assassination and like stuff like that. And there's like skills that flesh out your samurai skills and your ghost skills. And it's really interesting because as the story progresses, right, he becomes more of a ghost and less of a samurai. And your skills also evolve to reflect that in a very natural way. And I think I just think this game like marries everything together so wonderfully, and it's a beautiful capstone to send off the PS4 generation. That's all I got.
It sounds good. I don't typically go for the samurai aesthetic, if I'm being honest. That's kind of what's kept me away from Sekiro, which is dumb, I know, but like something about it doesn't call to me.
Yeah, I like a lot of games use samurai as like set dressing, right? But like this is a tried and true, like this is a real samurai game. Like
See, and that actually turns me away more so than brings me in because I don't like the set dressing even. So like,
yeah.
I don't know. It almost makes me think I should give it a shot just to see if I
I
can
would
solidify
encourage you
why
to
I think that.
maybe watch a couple minutes of gameplay and
Yeah.
see what you think of it. But like I think I think it's a great game, you know? I think it's a solid like I mean I'm still like less than halfway through it, I would guess, but where I'm at right now, I'd give it like an 8.5 out of 10. I could
Wow.
easily see that growing to a 9 if the story like keeps getting better. But yeah, what about you, Mike?
I haven't been playing much with moving and stuff, but I recently picked back up playing StarCraft 2 again. So
That's
You
I
play
feel like
a
that's
lot of
whole
those
rabbit hole.
1,000-hour games, Mike.
StarCraft 2 is not a 1,000-hour game. What are you talking about?
Is it not?
It's like an infinite hour game.
You
Yeah.
can put a lot. I haven't put that much time into it. I'm mostly just playing the campaign though, because the campaigns are on sale because apparently the game's a decade old now.
Oh,
That
I
surprised
thought it was
me.
older than that.
No, it launched in 2010. So
Okay.
I just bought the rest of the campaigns, and so I'm finally finishing up Wings of Liberty and going on to the other campaigns. And honestly, they're pretty good. The game feels good for being 10 years old. Maybe because it's the only RTS that's actually still played.
I was gonna say RTS like game feels not a big deal in that. I feel like it's pretty easy to have an RTS that feels good.
Yeah, RTS is a dead genre though because no one's innovated in it. And those that do innovate end up not selling well or not marketing enough, and no big company's willing to take the risk and market those. Which is unfortunate. I love RTS as a genre. Like, it's one of my favorite, but not much I can do.
So StarCraft 2, like this is just my ignorance, but like I didn't really even know there was a campaign. I thought it was just like a multiplayer game.
Oh
Yeah, it has a full single player campaign available for free. Wings of Liberty is completely free.
no. Really?
Yeah, you can play the first original campaign right now if you just download StarCraft 2. Plus full multiplayer and some co-op commanders. The
Cool.
co-op's even good. Everything about StarCraft 2 is good if you don't want to play multiplayer. There's even custom games. I loaded up a custom game that turned StarCraft 2 into a third-person shooter.
That's weird.
Yeah, it felt weird, but it was kind of cool, and it functioned as a third-person shooter, which was surprising. And it's a testament to their creation engine that you can put a third-person shooter in an RTS game.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll see like the next great game genre get created. Like we saw something similar happen, right? Like with help me out.
Warcraft.
Warcraft 3.
Warcraft, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same devs. Yeah.
And then Warcraft 3 comes through, Reforged comes through, and it's like, yeah, we now own everything you put on in custom content.
Yeah.
They don't want
this was
another
great.
Dota escaping.
It was really cool that you guys, did really great stuff, but I think you should stop. I think we've
Stop.
had our fun.
We don't want this to go out of control and lose money
Yeah.
again.
Remember back when Blizzard
No
was an
fun
okay
allowed.
company? Those
Yeah,
were the
right.
days.
Remember when every AAA company was okay?
Yeah, Blizzard, Bethesda, yeah. Remember back when they made good games? That was fun.
Well, Ubisoft wasn't okay back in the day.
Yeah, Ubisoft I feel like has gotten better.
I mean, there's been a whole. This is a whole thing, but did you guys follow the?
Oh yeah, and I think
accusations
they're
and stuff?
handling everything pretty well, all
Yeah.
considered. I think Ubisoft has had a massive glow up in the past like 4 years.
Yeah, certainly in terms of their
Actually, no,
output.
longer than that. I mean, Watch Dogs 2, I feel like was one of the starts of them getting it together.
Other than the Far Cry games, Far Cry 3 was probably one of their best open world games to come out.
I still need a
And-
sequel to Rayman Legends. I'm so mad. Every time I watch an Ubisoft press conference and I don't see Rayman Myths or whatever the sequel to Rayman Legends would be, I'm angry.
Rayman
because that game
Mythology.
is so good.
I'm
made
sure.
an entire
I'm sure it's
engine.
coming.
What?
I'm sure it's coming. It has to.
Yeah. But they made like the whole Ubi art engine for Rayman Origins and Legends, and I don't know what else that's been even used for. And like,
I think it was used for Child of Light.
I think you can license it to make other stuff with it too. But like,
Hold on. Ubi Art Framework. Oh, it got used for Rayman Mini, Rayman Adventures, Gravity Falls, Legend of Gnome Gemulets, Valiant
oh,
Hearts.
I do
Great
think
War,
Rayman's had some good games on mobile, like some actually good games maybe. but
Rayman Fiesta Run.
Yeah, I don't typically play mobile games. I think Rayman pretty much did the Mario Run thing, except a million times better, and then nobody cared. I even think I have that downloaded on my phone. I just don't play mobile games much, especially,
Yeah.
I'm COVID, I'm at home. Why would I play mobile games?
Right.
Wasn't
just
there a
feels
Rayman
wrong.
game for like PlayStation 1 where it was like Edition?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
What was
there
that
was.
called?
And it was
Arithmetic?
like, yeah, it was really hard too, I think. Like, the edition was obviously not very hard, but the actual game was incredibly difficult.
What was it called?
I don't remember. Let me look it up. Rayman Brain Games?
Hold on. I need to know.
Yeah, I think it's called
Is it?
Rayman Brain Games. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I remember it being super hard and like a really difficult to.
Yeah, it's a really difficult 2D platformer with
2D
some really
platformer.
easy arithmetic that you do along the way.
What a weird combination. I don't
Yeah.
want that. I don't like that.
No. It did not look fun.
All right, I think that will do it for us this week. Thank you guys for listening. Please follow us at Ad Podcast Game Talk on Twitter. Please like, rate, and review us on any podcast service you use. Please click the link in the description to join our Discord and chat with us there. Thank you, Connor and Mike.
Yep. See you guys next week.
See you next time. Bye.